So you need to resaw some boards. Say for instance you're making some kind of book-matched shaker panels. I'd say this practice project I did here, but you don't have a bandsaw, or like me, you have a bandsaw, but the lack of stiffness that causes the blade drift, and the lack of power makes it incapable of doing the cuts that you need.
Nomad makes.
Now I do have a bandsaw with a 10 centimeter cut capacity, but the motor cannot handle a cut that thick, especially not in white oak. My table saw, however, has a capacity of 7.8 centimeters, and when you cut that from both sides, that gives us 15.6 centimeters of capacity. And you can go even wider because you can finish that cut with a handsaw should you need to. So let's take a look at how I produce thin panels by resawing them on the table saw.
Luke, I am. Nomad makes.
First, I spent some time figuring out how I want the panels laid out. This timber is S4S, but I chose to give the edges a little shave to make sure they were completely square. To set the thickness of the cut, I used a correctly sized reference piece and then added some playing cards. I ended up using a bit more than seen on screen here, but all you need is to leave enough wood for a clean pass through on the thicknesser and some sanding. First I do a half depth pass on both edges before I raise the blade all the way to the needed depth. The max capacity of the Laguna Fusion F3 is 7.8 centimeters with this blade, which is 250 millimeters I think. A possible benefit of resawing this way over doing it on the bandsaw is that you really don't need to plane a reference face between cuts, as the table saw generally leaves a flat enough surface. These boards were only split down the middle, so no need for new surface faces here anyway. If you do several of these, I suggest marking them up as you go, if you want book match pieces at least. Here I managed to mark the faces that gets planed off, but I mean, who cares, it's just chalk. You can also go a lot thinner than this, but be mindful of the minimum thickness of your thicknesser, if you don't have a drum sander that is. And consider a sacrificial fence if you do as well. Have you ever cut shop-made veneer on the table saw? Let me know how thin you went on the table saw. Now out comes the thicknesser, and I send the boards through them face down. I hardly ever get snipe on this thicknesser, and I thought about doing a little video on snipe, as there seems to be a lot of misconceptions about it on the interwebs, you know, and how to prevent it. Let me know if you'd like to see a video like that. So there you have it, book matched panels. And after a bit of our favorite activity and a quick glue up, the panels are done. Here you can see the pre-finished panels installed in my media console. Note that they have just been pre-finished, so they're not complete yet. The whole piece will get the same finish. But again, that is it for today, guys, and I would like to thank my first ever patron, Mange Syslen. He has a great Instagram profile, so go check him out, and join us over on Patreon should you want to support me as well. I really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please remember to leave a thumbs up. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. Should you want to support me, you'll find a Patreon link and affiliate links to products I use and recommend below. Cheers, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.